guys doing? I'm Sarm again. Today I'll be speaking about diversity and why it is so important for our Army. This presentation is unclassified, so if you want to take notes, please just take out a pen and paper. The overall risk assessment is low for today. We are indoors, but please be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of your classmates, please. Be aware of your nearest emergency exit in case of a fire or anything crazy happens. And please keep all drinks and food off the tables so we don't ruin the laptops, and be aware of the wires for any potential tripping hazards. Two things that are asked are to please be mindful of your classmates. If you are feeling tired in any way, please just obviously drink water and stand up and just sit in the back of the classroom and be quiet, please. If you need to use the bathroom, you don't need to raise your hand or anything. Please just exit the classroom quietly and come back doing the same. So today in my presentation, I'll be covering three main topics, which is our 2020 statistics for retainability and our recruitment, our global presence on deployment and training rotations, and lastly, but simply, diversity in the everyday workplace, but why it is beneficial but also super necessary. So hopping right into my first topic, which is our recruiting statistics for 2020, it shows an amazing increase to 47% representation of a minority culture out of the 62,150 soldiers that were sent to basic training in 2020. 47% represented a minority culture, as well as the females increasing from 16.5% to 18%, and as well as the Hispanic culture increasing from a low 12% to about 14.5% as well. But that leaves me with my biggest question for you guys, which is, with our new recruiting doing so well of new recruits, how do we fix our retainability? Because the research that I conducted shows that our retainability is at an all-time plateau or decreasing. The research that I conducted shows that E1 through E9 enlisted, the average of that being E1 through E4 is at about 36% of minority representation, which shows you what? These men and women are all on their first contract and they're not re-enlisting. And the same thing with the officers, which pretty much just cuts the enlisted percentage in half. At about 15% is the officer's representation of minorities. And with the same thing going on with the enlisted is the same thing on the officer side as well. The majority of the representation is coming from lieutenants and captains, which shows you what as well. They're on their first contracts. So my biggest question for you guys is, how do we increase our retention or fix it within the coming years for the better of the Army? Okay, so my next topic will be our global presence. So with our military demanding such a constant international presence, it is an absolute must and an advantage that we carry with us, having such diverse representation within our ranks. When you go to a training, when you're going on deployment, but you're also just going on a training rotation to places like Kosovo, Poland, Germany, the Philippines, Korea, etc., the list goes on. What are the major things that you're experiencing? You're experiencing their culture, their sacred traditions, their food, and their languages. When you have soldiers within your ranks that are already familiar with these traditions because it is secondhand nature to them, it makes your job as a leader or even as a soldier that much easier. The many times, for say, you don't have an interpreter with you to portray what a local is saying to you, but you have a soldier with you that can interact with the locals and understand what is going on, but also they are in your squad. They are able to do their job and also engage an enemy if so, like an interpreter can't do. These locals interact with you guys, and it is that much more of a benefit than just than your soldiers and yourself. they see that diverse representation. It makes you so much easier to work with. It makes that desired outcome for both sides much more achievable when you're able to interact successfully and you're not getting irritated because you are stressed out because you don't understand the environment or the culture. It makes it that much easier for you and your men and women that are with you to achieve the task at hand. So my last topic will be, before wrapping up, will be diversity within the workplace and why I believe it to be extremely beneficial, but also very necessary. So what happens as soon as you go to basic training? You receive a culture shock. So everything you have ever known is essentially thrown right out the window, and you right away are instilled with the Army values and everything else that is going on. But mainly it forces you to look at the soldiers to the left and right of you and experience that person, talk to that person, see how they process their information and what they've been through. It is one of the greatest things I believe I have experienced being in the Army is you experience people from all over the world, and that is what makes us so well-rounded as an Army. You have all these people that do just a wide variety of jobs, and at the end of the day, you learn from one another. You learn how to solve problems differently, and as time goes on, especially in a platoon, squad, or team, you become family with the men and women to the left and right of you. No matter your job in the Army, we are all on the same team. We all wear the same uniform, and that is what makes our Army so well-rounded, because we have that diversity and that representation from all over the world that it makes us perfect at everything we do. And that is what makes we're able to go overseas and do our job and protect this country. So that pretty much wraps up the 3 topics that I covered. So at this time, I will ask for any questions, but the one question that I did ask of you guys is how we improve our retainability. Today I discussed our global presence. I just finished discussing diversity in the everyday work area in garrison, and the biggest thing I think I covered is our retention and recruitment. So at this time, that concludes my presentation, and I will open the floor for any questions. Okay, no questions? Okay, well, thank you guys for your time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.